The following content is sponsored and does not necessarily reflect the views of WATD Radio. Now, Paul Ponders on 95.9 WATD. Be a part of the show. Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's your host, Paul Solano.
Greetings, everyone. How's everyone doing today? I want to welcome you, and thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. My name is Paul Solano of PS and All Marketing Group, and I wear another hat as General Manager of Pearl Street Station Restaurant in Malden. It really is an absolute honor and pleasure to be here on WATD in the slot of the boiling point from Arthur Boyle. Arthur is busy doing some grandfather things right now, but I am pleased to have Arthur as the executive consultant of Paul Ponders and WATD. And with us is Tim behind the glass. Tim, how are you today?
Doing well. Good afternoon, Paul.
Everything going well, I hear?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I had
it's usually going good if I'm in the booth here.
You know, you're absolutely right. And I drove that point home. I actually was down here on Thursday, and I had a meeting with Mr. Perry.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes,
yeah.
and with Rob Hackala,
Yep.
and I was singing the praises, and they were as well. And they said, we are very fortunate to have Tim. Very good. Thanks for all the support.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, as Arthur Boyle says, it's not time to make the donuts. It's time to
No, we
pay
made
some
the
bills.
donuts.
We did.
Yeah.
What did you make?
Boston cream.
Okay, I'll take a honey glazed.
You just want a glazed?
Yes.
What about a blueberry glazed?
Okay.
All right.
I'll
there
try
you go.
it.
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding. Where's that sound effect?
Oh, wait. Hold on.
Hold on.
Let's see.
Yes.
Yes.
Select.
Hey!
Yes. And we'll check. Yeah. All righty.
Hey, one.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear from our sponsors.
Have you tried Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857. Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakeesit Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision. Happy to work for you.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
Well, we are back, and thanks for listening to Paul Ponders on WATD. If you want to call us, you can call us at 781-837-4900, or you could even download the Odyssey app. I know I have two faithful listeners, at least two, and that's my daughter Ann in California and Chef Felipe Fitzpatrick at the restaurant listening to me. So thank you for subscribing and logging in through the Odyssey app. And on the line, I guess we have Joey from the neighborhood. Joey.
Hey, you got a lot more than two listeners, man. You got three. I'm the third one.
But did you download the app?
I think you're being a little too modest over there. You got a lot of listeners over there.
Thank you. No, really, the feedback.
You bring good content. You have a lot of good content on your show.
Well, thank you. No, I really appreciate that, Joey. And I know that you've been on the airwaves in years past. And I know we wanted to talk about it, in this time frame we don't have to talk about one of the chapters from the book. But why don't you let our listeners know what you used to do when you were on the air?
So I had the Joey Voices radio show on WMEX, which is the sister station to WATD now. And Ed Perry bought that station, which is probably the best thing that ever happened to that station was Ed Perry. And I won't go into him, but anybody who knows Ed Perry and WATD knows what I'm talking about. But that was a very successful show, but for whatever reason, it was just kind of a poorly run radio station at the time, 10 years ago. And Ed took over, and now it's doing fantastic. So, but I used to have my own radio show, the Joey Voices Radio Show. We were on Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m., and we had a lot of great content like you have on your show. But before that, I was a regular on the Pat Whitley Restaurant Show, which is now called Wicked Bites on WRKO. And I played Joey from the Neighborhood, the voice of Joe Pesci on WXKS, the Kiss 108 sister station, The Music of Your Life with Bill Whiteman. So I've had a pretty good radio career. And then I was on 104.9, the Good Time Favorite station up in Beverly with Karen Nass and Benny, who was one of the best bosses I ever had. She was the program director. And she's now the general manager of the North Shore Music Theater.
Absolutely.
So I've met a lot of great people, and I've had been on some great radio stations throughout my career, and now I'm over here with you today. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's an excellent segue, Brother Joey, for one of the chapters in your book. And if our listeners have not read Joey's book or purchased Joey's book on Amazon, the name of the book is Good Things That Are Supposed to Happen to You. And
you can get the ebook too. You can get the book or the ebook. You can order both,
right.
whichever one you'd read, whichever one's easier for you.
Awesome.
So.
Our operator standing by. MasterCard and Visa accepted.
Amazon.com.
There you go. I love it.
Just type in Joey Noon book.
Joey Noon book. Okay, awesome. Well, one of the chapters in the book, which I want to talk about today, and you just mentioned the word grateful, but one of the powerful chapter is A Grateful Heart. And one of the subtitle you have in the book is A Grateful Heart Helps You Remain Reachable and Teachable, Always Learning.
Yes, it does. 100%.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear in the few minutes we have remaining about A Grateful Heart.
So when you're grateful, the spirit of gratitude is very magnetic, and when it permeates out from you as your energy signature. When you say thank you, you'll be given a lot more to be thankful for in life. And I know that what I'm saying is correct. It's not just a philosophy; it's actually true, because anybody who will tell you about gratitude and when they practice gratitude, they'll tell you that that's correct. When you're grateful for the things that you have, then you'll be given more to be grateful for. But when you're not grateful for the things that you have, and you're constantly complaining about the things that you don't have, or where you think you should be in life instead of seeing how far you've come, then what you do have is just ignored, and eventually it will just kind of rot away. So you have to it's almost like a garden you have to cultivate. Like nothing's going to grow in your garden if you don't till the soil, if you don't plant the seeds. So when you're grateful and reflecting on the things that you have to be grateful for, you're watering that, and it's almost like you're growing more of it in your garden. I don't know how else to put it. There's many ways you can put it, but it's just a simple concept. My father used to say, the attitude of gratitude determines your altitude. And it was very wise. And I always remembered that when he said it. I said, because he put it in such a way that you'd remember it, And it's very, very true. A grateful heart, loves. A grateful heart understands. A person with a grateful heart understands themselves. And in order to understand others, you have to understand yourself. Now, none of us are perfect, least of all me. But I understand myself, which makes me apt and capable of understanding others and helping them with their issues. Like, people come to me all the time with emotional issues, which I have no problem with. I don't mind helping people, but God has equipped me with a counselor's heart to be able to do that, to be able to help other people, give them, the Bible calls it a fit word in due season, saying the ability to be able to say the right thing at just the right time for somebody to hear it when they need to hear it. And a lot of times, a simple word of encouragement, it might seem simple to you, the one who is giving it, but to the person that's receiving it, it could change their entire life. Like, it could turn that one bit of advice, that one bit of encouragement could be the dawn that breaks on Marblehead, right, so to speak, and it could turn their life in a completely different direction for the better, and it could change their life for the rest of their life. You just never know who you're going to help when you just make yourself available and just open your arms and just hold out your hands and just be willing to help somebody. And I wish the world would see that. And if everybody was more like that, the world would be in such a better place.
Absolutely. Well, as that song goes, what the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Yeah, love. Love is a very powerful. Love is the source and center of everything. It's the center of the wheel of any good attribute you can think of. Think of the spokes of a wheel, and then you get the center of the wheel. So you get the center of the wheel is love, and then you got different spokes. One spoke is gratitude. One spoke is charity. One spoke is, another, kindness, and so on and so forth. And so, but none of those spokes are capable without the center wheel of love. It all comes from the nucleus of love. And that's, without love, you wouldn't have the sun shining on your face. You wouldn't have the sun to grow the crops. You wouldn't have rain to grow the crops, to make flowers grow so that we could appreciate the beauty of them. And you wouldn't have food growing out of the ground so we could eat and be nourished. It all comes from a place of love. Whoever did that loves us. He certainly doesn't hate us. He loves us.
Well, Joey, I'm just going to have you go off course, but I think our listeners want to hear Ray Charles, "What a Wonderful World." Could you just do it?
So you want me to do Ray Charles' version of "It's a Wonderful World"?
Yes, please. I'm sorry about that. I want to hear it.
Okay.
I want to hear it, and then we'll sing.
So green, red roses too. Joey voices, Joe, I'm bringing it to you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I love it.
That's more Louis Armstrong.
Oh, Louis, I'm sorry. Why I say Ray Charles? I'm sorry about that. My bad.
That's okay. No, somebody gave me a trumpet that was Louis Armstrong's. It was actually his trumpet. I actually have it. I have the trumpet. I never used it because I can't play it, but somebody gave it to me as a gift one time. And I said, they go, "This was Louis Armstrong's trumpet," and they gave it to me. Can you believe that? Isn't that great?
Well, if you wanted to, excuse me, if you wanted to, let people know about it, you would be tooting your own horn, right?
Yeah, very funny.
You.
Hey, I got a cute dad joke for you that my niece told me.
Already?
A few weeks back, she says, "Uncle Joey, I got a joke for your show." I said, "Okay, what's the joke?" And she says, "What do you call a chicken staring at a pile of lettuce?" I said, "I don't know. What?" And she said, "Chicken sees a salad."
On that note, I love it.
Oh,
I love it. Well, Joey from the neighborhood, I want to thank you, and I am forever grateful to have you as a dear friend, brother.
Awesome. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. God
maybe
bless.
I'll see you tonight. Are you working tonight?
I will be at Pearl Street Station tonight.
Maybe I'll see you tonight then. I love you, buddy.
It'll be fabulous. Love you, brother. Take care now. Thanks for that joke. I like that. I'm going to use that, actually. I love it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks now.
Bye.
Thank you. Well, we're going to hear from our sponsors.
Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you. Have you tried Bryantville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
Well, we are back. And Joey, thank you. I love that joke. And in California, my daughter Ann in California on the Odyssey app, there's another dad joke for you. I love it. I just wanted to also invite our nonprofits out there to give me a shout out. If you want to shout out on Paul Ponders, you could send me an email at paul@paulponders.com. And on Thursday, while I was here in the studio, I saw that the Veterans Voice, Greg and the Veterans Voice, and a group of volunteers were having a food drive, food pantry. And I'll tell you, I stopped by, say hi, and I met Greg. I listened to him. I believe his show is on Thursday evenings, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've listened. The signal's so strong up in Malden that I do listen to that, and he has really some delightful guests, and he does a great job. And my youngest daughter lives in Quincy, and I heard that Quincy is celebrating its 400th anniversary. Is that true?
Could be. I don't know. I don't live in Quincy. I couldn't tell you. But I can tell you, though, the food drive is every third Thursday of every month.
Okay.
So if you do need to help, if you want to volunteer the food drive, that's great. But if you need the help, it's every third Thursday of the month.
Gotcha. Well, I met a wonderful volunteer, Linda. I don't know Linda's last name, but Linda was just so nice to chat with, and she participates in that every month, I guess. And I also had the pleasure of officially meeting Dan McCready. Dan's a great guy. He does a great guy.
You didn't meet him at the Christmas party?
I really did not have a chance to meet him. He was on the other side of the room, and you and I was sitting, away from where he was. But it was really great meeting him. And
he was too busy singing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air too.
That's true. I think you were too.
I sang a couple times. Yeah.
And as I said...
No, 3 times I sang, but anyway.
And you did a fine job, actually.
Thank you.
As I said, the only note I could carry is really the one to the principal's office. That's...
yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I also thank you, Coach Bill Belichick, for that. He really made that...
Mr. Solano, to the principal's office, please. Mr. Solano.
I did hear that. Actually, Arthur Boyle's dad was my high school principal at Malden High School. And he used to call me to the office every so often. Okay. Yep. I also want to give a shout out to a nonprofit that I work with, Project 142. It's a weekly video series, and Scott Albertson is the gentleman who runs that, and dedication around the nation. And Scott has been very active with a charity that I'm on the board, and we've had Bob Hildberg, the executive director of Gotham Whale, on with us for a couple of episodes. And there's something coming up on February 16th at the Jenkinson's Aquarium in New Jersey. And Gotham Whale is an event sponsor for that, and it's World Whale Day. So, Matt from Pembroke, if you're listening, I know we'll be having you on before April 24th with Right Whale Day in Massachusetts, but we'll have more information on the Paul Ponders website on World Whale Day. Say that 10 times fast. I think we have I thought we had our next guest on the line. We don't have our guests on the line, so we're just going to continue talking about what Gotham Whale is going to be doing with Project 142 and dedication around the nation. But I think there's an event in March, and I believe it is Beneath the Sea, the 2025 Beneath the Sea Dive, Travel, and Oceans Exposition. And that's March 28th to March 30th. And that's at the Meadowlands Exposition Center in Secaucus, New Jersey. So I know this is pretty much a radio station that goes South Shore, Cape and the Islands, and as far north as I've heard up in Andover and Tewksbury. But if you plan on being in New Jersey or New York on March 28th to March 30th, and you want to go to a wonderful dive, travel, and oceans exposition, the 2025 Beneath the Sea is the place to be. And Project 142, Scott Albertson of scottalbertson.com is in fact going to be there with some people from Gotham Whale. But again, on February 16th on World Whale Day at Jenkinson's Aquarium in Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. For more information, you could actually log into the website jenkinsons.com/aquarium. And again, Gotham Whale is in fact going to be an event sponsor for that. And again, if you have if you're a nonprofit out there and you want to be featured on the Paul Ponders show, please email me at paulponders.com, or you could even check me out at PS&L Marketing Group. So that's what I have for the nonprofit information, and I hope that on the line we have no, we don't. Okay, we don't. I'm sorry, but this is live radio here. I'm looking at the screen here. This is really wonderful how we have great equipment here. Where we're able to, in fact, just look and see what's happening out there. But Tim, behind the glass, will let me know when Shelley Wolf is on the line. Now, the segment that we'll be featuring is Pod Pro Entertainment Techie Toolbox. Techie Talonzo Amos is my producer with Pod Pro Entertainment. And I have the Paul Ponders podcast, and Shelley Wolf is global media firm owner of Toolbox Entertainment and a past Paul Ponders podcast guest, episode 35. So I met Shelley through...
Shelley's on.
Shelley is on. Shelley, welcome.
Hello.
Hi there. We've had some technical issues in getting you to call in from Philadelphia today, right?
Yeah, I think the rain's causing some issues over here, so sorry about that.
That's okay. No, this is live radio and all, and I just promoted the fact that you're a global media firm owner of Toolbox Entertainment, and of course a past Paul Ponders guest, episode 35.
Yes, I'm very honored to be here again today.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on, for calling in, and the past shows that you've been on, you've offered some really insightful, helpful tips regarding emails, spam, and all that good stuff. So, what do you have for us today in our shortened time frame?
Yeah, well, I've got some crazy stories. So even tech experts like myself are vulnerable. So I want to kind of talk about what it means to be cloned and hacked. So I'll share last week, I was actually hacked myself on Facebook. And it was funny because I was talking with Techie Terlanzo, and he said, how does that happen to someone who's a tech expert? And I said, well, let me share, because we're all vulnerable, right? No one's immune to any of this. So I think it's really important that we have those conversations and just be really honest that it can happen to any of us. I'm not sure if you've ever had those experiences where, people say, hey, someone else has got another profile, and accepting new friend requests from you and stuff like that. So, so just want to kind of share that, that can happen to anybody. And there's a difference, though, between cloning and hacking. So every day I'm hearing crazy stories about friends being hacked or cloned. So I just wanted to clarify what that difference is. And cloning is when someone impersonates you, a fake account. That could be on Facebook. That could be, I just learned a story yesterday. Someone impersonated someone and did their taxes and got their tax return. And I know we talked about answering phone calls sometimes where you may not know who's on the other line, and it's a number you don't recognize, and they sit there in silence, and you're like, hello. Well, again, be very cognizant, because they're cloning your voice, and they're taking that information and using it against you. And that's for another story down the road, but that is just another example of how you can be cloned. It does not mean that someone has your personal information. It just means that they are cloning your profile publicly and using it publicly. They may be, again, it could be on social media, which is one of the biggest ones, but they could, the biggest ways that you find out about that is when, friends let you know that you've been seeing or asking a new friend request. So like, why would you be asking friends that you've been friends with for a long time, right? So hopefully your friends start to be more cognizant of that as well. But they use this information and kind of it's called mining. So they're mining your friend base to kind of gather information or get your friends to send money and share money and those sorts of things. So it's really important for people to pay attention and check like your settings on different things. We'll go back into that. But, hacking is when they actually have your account information and they're using unauthorized access to get into your account. So I know we had talked a couple weeks ago about two-factor authentication. So that's where that really comes in handy because then someone's trying to get into your account and using your information. But again, hacking is when they're posting messages to your friends with your private data, right? Or you might go into you might notice a malicious link that's coming in from an email or that sort of thing. So that means your device has been compromised. So again, to take control of your account, you just really want to make sure that you're looking at settings. So, if you think that you have been cloned, first ask your friends to report it as a fake profile. Go into your account and click the 3 dots that say find and support and report it. Let your network know that you've been cloned and don't interact with that cloning. If it happens on Facebook, go on Facebook. Use under your web browser, if you actually go under new incognito window and search your name, is always a really good way to find out what's happening. But especially on Facebook, go in and search your name and see like, oh, do I have multiple accounts? And then you can report those accounts. Now, if you're being hacked, it's really, really essential to change your passwords. Changing passwords are very, very, those get, like we've talked about in a couple weeks, is passwords. You want to make it something that's relevant to you, but something that someone can't figure out easily. Enable that two-factor authentication again, just so you have that second layer. Check your account for unfamiliar devices logging in. I mean, your account, you can do that. We can go into that in another week. Adjust your privacy settings so that it's limited to only people can see your information. And be careful, again, what you share and what you click through. I think we talked about, don't click through all those little things that said, hey, let me see what your visual looks like. And it creates some AI visual and we'll get rid of your 10 pictures in a week. That's not real. Like, they are capturing that information and using that information against you. Don't give up, don't click through and say, oh, okay, I want to see what my horoscope's going to be this week. And, what does it say for Paul? Paul is going to be, running the world tomorrow.
Well,
so stay vigilant. We know you're running the world, but that's another story. But we want people to stay vigilant when they're doing, using social media and just be safe. Again, this is a time, especially going into tax time, there's a lot of conversations we'll be having, but I just want people to make sure that they are being safe out there, and it can happen to any of us. Adjust the privacy settings, create and use strong passwords, turn on the two-factor authentication, monitor your accounts that you usually use activity, and if you're not using accounts, get rid of them. Unsubscribe, get rid of them, delete them. So at least you have less of a risk of having those being done. Report any fake profiles. So again, if someone like myself, as tech savvy as I am, can get cloned, it just shows that anyone out there can be. So take some time today, update your privacy settings, strengthen your passwords, talk to your friends and family about safety online. And if you've got questions, just remember, and we're here to help and support you. So
awesome.
You can check us out at info@podproentertainment.com. And yeah, you got any questions, Paul?
Well, I was just going to ask you, how do our listeners reach you and all, and you answered that question. And I do know we have Dave Jensen on the other line. But, Shelley, I want to thank you again for just another week worth of many helpful tips and insightful thoughts.
Thank you. Absolutely. My pleasure. And everybody stay warm and safe out there. And happy Martin Luther King Day.
Absolutely. # indeed.
All right.
Thank you, Shelley. We'll catch up with you hopefully next week.
Thank you. Take care.
You as well. Thank you. And on the line, we have, representing the financial wing of Olympic Proportion, Olympian and former Boston Bruins winger, my friend Dave Jensen, Senior Loan Officer of Riverworks Credit Union. Brother David, how are you?
Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Good. Yeah, can't complain.
Well, that's good. Glad to have you on this segment. And I know you do some work with Riverworks Credit Union as senior loan officer and all. And in the time frame that we have to wind down, we have a presidential inauguration on Monday, and many people have been holding off on buying property or maybe waiting to sell property until the inauguration. So if you want to let our listeners know where rates are at and when is a good time to buy a house or sell a house?
Well, I don't think there's a bad time, right, Paul, to buy a house, especially during this market, because there's less competition out there as a buyer right now. Obviously it's more competitive when in the summertime, spring, summer, fall, because a lot of families, have kids in school and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some really good deals to be had out there. And as far as the rates go, obviously the rates are, they've near the highs over the past 2 decades, and they've been fluctuating quite a bit over the past 6 months. They were down actually prior to the Fed lowering the federal funds target rate in September to around 6% at break even. And when I say that, I mean most banks, right? And we're a credit union, we have portfolio money available, right? So we can do in-house loans where we're not selling to Fannie or Freddie, right? Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, which most banks and other lenders do sell to Fannie and Freddie. They don't use their own money, right? So having said that, they're subject to whatever the rates are with Fannie and Freddie, which this past week they were well over 7%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they did come down because it always fluctuates based on economic, indicators, right? So you got CPI, PPI, all the inflationary numbers that come out. It seems like daily, right? It's kind of like the stock market when you hit it. But having said that, the last couple of days the numbers were, lower as far as like expectations, which means those rates would come down, and they came down to about 6.875% at break even. Now, when I say that, usually there's markups from banks, right, on that, and then there's credit adjustments, which we call hits in the industry, meaning LTV, credit, score, all that stuff, which when I say 6.875, most people, there's going to be somewhere around a quarter, half point, or even higher, depending on their credit situation, LTV, and other factors, right, on that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the bad news about rates. The good news is that I think everyone thinks that in the next year or so the rates will be coming down. So we always say, listen, if you can buy a house, and you can afford a house now, it's never a bad time because you can always refinance, and there's no penalties. With Riverworks Credit Union on that, on a rate and term finance, you only need to make one mortgage payment, so you're not stuck, so to speak, in that mortgage, right, on it. The other good news that we have is with our portfolio loans, we have some really attractive programs which are locked in. And when I say that, like just for instance on this, a 30-year amortization, a 7/1 ARM where you're locked in for 7%, we're doing them at 6.25% right now. And I think most people, when they sell, I would refinance in that 7-year time frame. And if they didn't, then you're just subject to whatever the prime rate is, right, at the U.S. Treasury in year 8. And I don't want to get too confusing on that, but I highly doubt anyone is going to get there, to the 8th year. But that's how it works on that. And we don't know what that's going to be 8 years down the road. But if, say, you're stuck in that mortgage, that's when the adjustment would take place on a 7/1 ARM. Do you follow me on that, Paul?
I do indeed.
Yeah.
And as we start to wind down on the rate difference between the margin difference between residential and commercial rates, what's the gap? What's the difference on that?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you this. So as far as the commercial at Riverworks, Jerry Dorr, as you know, handles that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's some very attractive programs as well on the commercial rates and the HELOCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So most lenders on HELOCs, home equity loans, they will they'll charge prime plus 1, right? The prime rate
Right.
plus 1. So, and I'm trying to look at the prime rate. That's why I'm looking at what the rate sheet is for commercial, because I don't usually handle them. But having said that, prime plus 1, prime was well over 8.5% over the past 12 months. Now it has come down because those federal rate cuts do affect the federal prime rates, right, on that?
Right.
So as of Friday, they were at 7.5%. So most lenders, that would be 8.5%. We're doing them at 7.5%. We don't charge the extra 1. We haven't, but they do fluctuate from month to month, right, based on what the prime rates are and what the Fed would put into place, right, on that. So there's a little fluctuation with that.
Absolutely.
As far as investment properties go, in commercial, we're at 6.625%, which I don't think you can beat that, right?
I don't
maximum,
think so.
Yeah, and this too. The maximum LTV is 80%. Most lenders are at 70% or sometimes 75%, right?
Yep.
So that helps me quite a bit, right, on that. No prepayment penalty, so that's all. That's pretty attractive stuff on the commercial. Just reading off the lending product rate that we have. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right now.
Well, Dave, I do have to sign off. I have Ron Dwyer coming in the studio, but I want to pick up this discussion next week and all, and I want to thank you for being on, and I want to hear more about your work in the nonprofit world as well as with Riverworks Credit Union. How do our listeners reach you?
D. Jensen, Jensen, at rwcu.com. It's my email address.
Fabulous. Well, Dave Jensen, I thank you so much, and you have a great week, okay?
You too, Paul. Talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Thank
my
you.
friend. Be well now.
Okay.
Thank you. Well,
Bye-bye.
thank you. I want you to stay tuned to WATD for the memories with Ron Dwyer, the grand poobah of oldies rock and roll. Listeners can go to paulponders.com to find subscription links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, as well as finding past Paul Ponders on WATD shows. Thanks again to Tim, Arthur Boyle, and our advertisers. But really, thank you, listeners in WATD world and beyond. Keep Paul pondering. #Indeed.